very warm good morning to all of you. It's a pleasant Thursday morning and we're back again, once again in fact, with Breakfast News, a show we get for you every morning to make sure you keep yourself abreast with everything that's been making it to the headlines. I'm Preeti, with me is Rukma, and in the next 1 hour, we take you through national headlines, international updates, we get you updates from the business, sports, a web review, weather updates, enough to keep you engaged for the next 1 hour to make sure that your tea or coffee right in the morning tastes even better.
And well, very good morning to you, Preeti, and to all our viewers as well. As Preeti just said, it's 1 hour of Power Pack News up ahead. We'll be giving you all the details of the Prime Minister's scheduled interaction today with women beneficiaries of Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. More in that with our reporter who's covering the story on the ground. Also reports on the rescue operations in Kinnaur in Himachal Pradesh, the site where that terrible landslide took place, burying many vehicles under the debris. Also news from sports, international updates and much more. But first, here are the headlines.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in Atmanirbhar Nari Shakti Se Samvad program via video conferencing today. Prime Minister will also interact with women's self-help groups or community resource persons promoted under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihoods Mission.
The Constitution 127th Amendment Bill 2021 passed in both houses of Parliament. Prime Minister terms its passage a landmark moment for the nation. Says the bill further social empowerment also reflects government's commitment to ensuring dignity, opportunity and justice to marginalized sections.
Nation celebrating International Youth Day today. Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Thakur to confer the National Youth Awards 2017-18 and 2018-19 at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. MOS Youth Affairs and Sports Nisit Pramnik also to attend this event.
Rescue operations resume at landslide site in Kinnaur in Himachal Pradesh. 13 people reported dead, nearly a dozen rescued safely. Many vehicles and passengers still feel trapped and are untraceable. President and Prime Minister expressed grief. Prime Minister Modi speaks to Chief Minister of Himachal.
India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 52 crore landmark milestone. More than 40 lakh vaccine doses administered yesterday till 7 p.m. Maharashtra to relax COVID restrictions from August 15th.
United States says Taliban violating the letter and spirit of the February 2020 US-Taliban deal, seeking a battlefield victory. US working to forge an international consensus behind the need for an Afghanistan peace accord.
Send-off ceremony for Indian contingent of Paralympic Committee of India for Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games to happen today. Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Thakur to be the chief guest. Nisit Pramnik, MOS Youth Affairs along with other dignitaries to be present as the guest of honor.
Second test of 5-match series between India and England to begin today at Lord's. Both teams eyeing a win after draw at Nottingham to set the tone of the series. Match starts at 3:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time.
Chelsea wins the UEFA Super Cup. The English club defeats Spanish club Villarreal for 6-5 in the penalty shootout to win their first title of the season. Alright, those are the top stories. Let's get to the news in detail now. We begin with the national headlines first.
And as we were telling you, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate today in Atmanirbhar Nari Shakti Se Samvad and interact with women self-help group members and community resource persons promoted under the Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihoods Mission via video conferencing. During the event, a compendium of success stories of women self-help group members from all across the country, along with a handbook on universalization of farm livelihoods, will be released by the Prime Minister. PM Modi will also release capitalization support funds to the tune of 1,625 crore rupees to over 4 lakh self-help groups. In addition, he will release 25 crore rupees as seed money for 7,500 SHG members under the PM Formalization of Micro Food Processing Enterprises scheme of the Ministry of Food Processing Industries, and 4 crore 13 lakh rupees as funds to 75 farmer producer organizations being promoted under the mission.
All right, joining us to get us more on that is our correspondent Arun Sharma. Arun, Prime Minister of late has been holding interactions with a number of people, who are benefited from the schemes. Today, he will be interacting with women self-help groups. Now, the Prime Minister, the government has always emphasized on empowerment of women. Talk more about the coverage of the Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana when we talk of National Rural Livelihoods Mission. He will be interacting with the beneficiaries today. To begin with, let us know the scope, the coverage of the scheme since its inception.
So, good morning, Preeti, and good morning all our viewers. Well, indeed, it's going to be a significant day as far as women empowerment is concerned, and of course, pumping in demand, a massive demand in the rural sector. That is what the basic idea of today's interaction. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be interacting with the beneficiaries of the National Rural Livelihood Mission. Government is focusing upon, boosting the demand via self-help groups in the rural sector of our country. And as we know this fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be transferring close to 1,625 crore rupees directly in the bank accounts of close to 4 lakh self-help groups as a capitalization fund. That means the fund that can be utilized for the capital money for any kind of businesses that these self-help groups are concerned. Now, we know this fact that government is also focusing upon the fact that in rural area, specifically in villages, how can the women can form groups and can start working in any sort of business or any group activity, be it the banking mitra, be it the Bima Sakhi, be it the banking Sakhi, be it the Krishi Sakhi. So via all these modes, how can on one side, government initiatives, various programs can reach to the rural areas, to the far-flung areas as well. So on the other side, how can, a women empowerment can be done, and also how can rural demand be increased? Now, apart from this, 25 crore rupees will also be transferred in close to 4 lakh self-help groups members. Now, this will ensure that how can food processing business can kick off or kickstart or can be strengthened in the rural area as well. Because on one side, we are witnessing it how government is focusing upon creating a better agriculture infrastructure, and food processing units and food processing infrastructure is also an important component or the subset as far as India's agriculture sector is concerned. So directly transferring 25 crore rupees as the seed funding primarily, so that these self-help groups can start off their new businesses as far as food processing units are concerned. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be transferring this entire money in the bank accounts of the self-help groups. That will ensure that these women empowerment, women empowerment takes place, and also rural demand kicks in. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be interacting with the beneficiaries. We'll try to know that what were the experiences as far as these self-help groups are concerned, what more can government do, how these initiatives like National Rural Livelihood Mission are bringing in change in the lives of women in rural areas, in villages, in far-flung areas, and what more can be done by the government. Government in all formats is trying to incentivize the rural demand primarily, so that more and more demand can be created. The government is also ensuring that how can more and more seed funding and capital funding can be provided to the self-help groups, so that these women primarily can become Atmanirbhar and also can create jobs in the villages or the rural areas. And also, apart from being Atmanirbhar and job creators, they can also pump in the rural demand. And that's what is the need of the hour at this point in time. And in that context, today's interaction is going to be very much significant.
And when we look at the name of the interaction, it's been titled Atmanirbhar Nari Shakti Samvad. Can we assume, therefore, Arun, that the Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, it has benefited women the most?
When Prime Minister Narendra Modi came into power in 2014, Rukma, he clearly highlighted important one aspect of his policy making. He said that all his policies will be made that will be focusing upon the farmers, women, and of course the poor people of our country. That means Antyodaya. That means the person who is standing last in the queue. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that we will be focusing even on that person while drafting any kind of policy. Be it the Ujjwala Yojana, we have seen how Ujjwala Yojana is bringing smiles on the faces of women beneficiaries primarily by providing free LPG gas connection, or be it initiatives like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, be it initiatives like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, whereby housing projects or houses are being allotted to the women beneficiaries primarily, because the women are being given major focus as far as Awas Yojana is concerned. So all these policies are being drafted and implemented by the government that focuses upon the women. Now, the idea is that we know this fact that in village, in rural areas, if in case the demand needs to be pumped in, we know this fact that men are already involved in the agriculture sector, but apart from agriculture sector, what more can be done so that the demand can be created? Self-help groups create a major demand as far as rural sector is concerned. On one side in our country, there are 8 crore MSMEs in our country. So government is incentivizing these MSMEs, making a ecosystem for these MSMEs so that demand can be created. So on the other side, these self-help groups, a platform has been given to these self-help groups so that whatever products they are making in the rural India or in the villages primarily, they can be brought on the national level so that their products also get showcased. Government is also financing these self-help groups. They are providing seed funding. That means they can start off their new businesses. Government is also providing the capital funding to the self-help group so that they can start off their new business, and they can also fulfill their requirement as far as capital is concerned. So close to when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be transferring close to 1,625 crore rupees in the accounts of close to 4 lakh self-help groups. This ensures that there is no a shortage of the capital for the self-help groups for various kinds of work that they are doing. So these women primarily will become the women entrepreneurs. They'll be creating more jobs in this rural India. They'll become Atmanirbhar as far as this National Rural Livelihood Mission is concerned. And last but not the least, these initiatives will pump in the much required demand in the rural sector. That is the need of the hour.
All right. Thank you so much, Arun, for joining us with those updates. We'll come back to you during the day when the program is held. Okay, let's turn focus to other news now. Let's get to an update on Himachal Pradesh landslide. The search and rescue operations resumed at the landslide site in Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh early this morning to trace those trapped under the debris following massive landslide. A joint rescue operation of NDRF, ITBP, police and home guards is being carried out on raw footing to search for people trapped under the debris. Heavy machinery is being used to clear the debris. The rescue teams have been carrying out search operation to locate the HRTC bus under the debris without much success so far. So far, 13 bodies have been retrieved while 13 people have been rescued.
जिस बस को हम लोकेट करने का कल से एफर्ट्स कर रहे थे, प्रयास कर रहे थे, वो बस जो है मॉर्निंग 6 बजे जब हमारा रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन वहाँ शुरू हुआ, वो बस लोकेट हो गई है। ये नेशनल हाईवे से रोल डाउन हो करके कोई 300 मीटर नीचे जो है बस जा करके एक बोल्डर के साथ रुकी पड़ी हुई है। इसमें कुछ बॉडीज रिकवर हुई हैं, रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन जारी है।
अभी बरसात के मौसम में हमने एक एडवाइजरी भी जारी करी है कि वल्नरेबल एरियाज में ना जाए, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली कुछ ऐसे एरियाज भी स्लाइड कर रहे हैं जो वल्नरेबल नहीं थे। तो अब वो वल्नरेबल हो गए हैं। जैसे ये आपने देखा, ये इससे पहले यहाँ कभी हुआ नहीं इतना बड़ा, तो अभी आप देख रहे हैं कि अभी भी शूटिंग स्टोन्स आ रहे हैं। तो इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ कंसर्न फॉर अस कि हमारे लिए ये बड़ा एक कंसर्न है कि ऐसे भी एरिया जो वल्नरेबल नहीं है वहां से भी स्लाइडिंग हो रही है, और इसका पूरा जो है मैपिंग करवाएंगे GSI से, और हम देखेंगे कि ये इसमें क्या क्या जो वो करेक्टिव एक्शन बोलेंगे वो हम कर रहे हैं।
And President Ramnath Kovind has expressed deep condolences and his concern, and he has in fact expressed grief over the incident as well. We get to more on that, but before that, our correspondent Nandini Mittal is joining us. Nandini, let us know the latest update. We tell our viewers that rescue operation is still undergoing.
Yeah, rescue operation started today morning again, and as told by the Deputy Commissioner of Kinnaur and the Superintendent of Police of Kinnaur, the bus has been located, and since morning they are able to recover 3 bodies. We have with us right now few people who are near and dear ones were on the bus. Let us talk to them. कौन था आपका बस में?
मेरे भाई थे छोटे वाले, जो कि कल बस में आ रहे थे, और अभी तक कोई पता नहीं लगा है उनका। तो हम कल शाम से उन्हें वो करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो अभी तक कोई पता नहीं लगा है।
हाँ, लगातार जो है प्रयास किया जा रहा है, और आपने
प्रयास किया जा रहा है, लेकिन अभी तक कोई पता नहीं चल रहा है।
बस मिल गई है, कुछ उम्मीद बनी है क्या?
कुछ उम्मीद तो है कि अब हमें कुछ ये हौसला हो रहा है, लेकिन पिछले कई प्रशासन ने गलती की है कि 5 घंटे तक रोड बंद, जो स्लाइड हो रहा था उसके बाद अभी तक मशीनें नहीं पहुंची थी 5 घंटे तक। लेकिन उस टाइम यहाँ पे वो चीज होनी चाहिए थी कि 5 घंटे से पहले प्रशासन को यहाँ पे मशीन लानी चाहिए थी।
बिल्कुल,
और प्रशासन ने हमारे साथ इतना वो धोखा दे दिया कि यहाँ पे कि कुछ कोई मशीन नहीं थी यहाँ पे।
बिल्कुल, this area is were not, as told by Deputy Commissioner, was not prone to this kind of incident, and after the incident happened there was stone shooting. So the question they are asking were asked by us also to the Deputy Commissioner, who told that the machinery was far away and it took time to come to the site. Now the machinery is there, ITBP people are there, and all the NDRF, the local administration is there, and they are able to find the bus, and it is assumed that soon they will be able to trace the bodies also.
Right, Nandini, when we talk about the casualty count, what is the latest update regarding that? And as you just mentioned, the Deputy Commissioner himself has said that this is not an area prone to this kind of an incident. That's another very alarming situation.
Yeah, it's an alarming situation because of continuous climate change. These kind of incidents are happening, as told by Deputy Commissioner. The area is getting fragile day by day. There are lots of hydroelectrical projects which are coming in this area. So this may be a reason. This has to be studied, but this may be a reason for this kind of incident. We have seen that earlier also in Kinnaur, in Sangla Valley, this kind of incident happened, and 9 people lost their life. In this incident also 13 bodies have been recovered and 13 people have been saved so far. But the toll can be very more, because around 28 people are told to be on the bus, which has been traced by the administration.
All right, Nandini, thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. That was our correspondent Nandini Mittal joining us and telling us about the rescue operations that are underway to trace those who were in the bus which faced mishap due to the landslide. And continuing with the same story, President Ramnath Kovind has expressed his heartfelt condolences and concerns for the people who are affected by this tragedy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also said that the landslide tragedy at Kinnaur, Himachal Pradesh is very saddening. Also, in a tweet, Prime Minister said that in this hour of grief, his thoughts are with the families of those who have lost their lives. Prime Minister hoped that the injured recover at the earliest. He said that the rescue operations are underway and everything possible is being done to assist those still trapped. Prime Minister also announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each from Prime Minister's National Relief Fund to the next of the kin of those who have lost their lives due to the landslide in Himachal Pradesh. 50,000 rupees would be given to the injured.
Moving on, Parliament has unanimously passed the Constitution 127th Amendment Bill 2021, with the Rajya Sabha approving it on Wednesday. Leaders from the ruling party as well as those from the opposition took part in the discussion. The Rajya Sabha has passed the bill with a majority of the strength of the House and not less than a two-third majority of members present in the House during voting. 187 members voted in favor of the bill, with none against. The House also negated the amendments moved by some opposition members. Replying to a debate on the bill, Social Justice and Empowerment Minister Dr. Virendra Kumar said it will empower the states to prepare their own OBC lists so that various communities can be given social and economic justice. He said that the restoration of this right by states will benefit 631 castes to get reservation in educational institutions and appointments. Lok Sabha had passed the Constitution 127th Amendment Bill 2021 on Tuesday.
International Youth Day is being celebrated across the globe today. The day is celebrated every year to focus on youth issues and bring them to the attention of the international community. The day is also observed to acknowledge and celebrate the potential of youth as partners in the global society. This year, the theme of International Youth Day is Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. The theme has been chosen after these issues were highlighted at ECOSOC Youth Forum 2021. And commemorating the International Youth Day 2021, Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Thakur will confer the National Youth Awards 2017-18 and 2018-19 in New Delhi. A total of 22 National Youth Awards will be given in individual and organizations categories. A total of 14 awards will be given for National Youth Awards 2017-18, which include 10 awards in individual category and 4 awards in organization category. A total of 8 awards will be given for National Youth Awards 2018-19, which includes 7 awards in individual category and 1 award in organization category. The award comprises of a medal, a certificate and a cash prize of 1 lakh rupees to the individual and a cash prize of 3 lakh rupees to the organization. 10 young winning entrepreneur teams of the Agri Enterprise Challenge, that is SALT, that is Social Objectives Led Volunteer Enterprise Development, will be felicitated by Minister of State for Youth Affairs and Sports, Nisit Pramanik. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, in collaboration with the United Nations Volunteers and United Nations Development Programme, had launched this challenge in December 2020 for youth from rural, suburban and urban India to identify and nurture innovative youth-led entrepreneurial solutions in the agri-food value chain.
And joining us now is our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya to tell us more about how International Youth Day will be celebrated. Tapas, you're covering the story. Give us more details of the celebrations, how significant it would be as far as the government's focus on the youth, focus on development of the youth here in India is concerned.
Yes, in fact, the government has been quite, has been talking about the fact that the youth is the main, you have to push the youth if you have to start rebuilding or, take the country forward, and then that keeping that in mind, this particular National Youth Awards, attain more significance. In fact, for this particular event that we are talking about today, this Union Sports Minister and Youth Affairs Minister Anurag Thakur will be giving out awards, 22 awards for the year of 2017, 2018 and 2018-2019. So for the two years they will be provided, and a cash prize of almost 1 lakh for individual and 3 lakh for organization who have been working here. So in that sense, it's a huge achievement for all those people who have won. We've been told that this is also keeping in mind the United Nations International Youth Day. So India also joining the effort to understand the whole idea that that youth are the mainstream, youth are the main power if the country has to move forward and become Atmanirbhar in all aspects, in all respect of the thing. So far, what we've been told is that over 850 youth applied across the country, and after many rounds, 10 winners emerged from states like Jammu Kashmir, Bihar, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Gujarat. So all these places have another thing is that the SOLVE, the program that you spoke about, the United Nations Development Program, launched the SOLVE Challenge in December 2020. So that also becomes even more relevant in this particular time. This particular SOLVE Challenge is a social objective led volunteer enterprise development that becomes even more important in the times of Corona pandemic. Where the efforts have been shown by these individual or these organization becomes even more important, and thus they will be felicitated by the Union Affairs, Youth Affairs Minister Anurag Thakur, and the MOS Minister of State Nishit Pramanik will also be there, along with the Secretary of Youth Affairs. They all will be there to felicitate. So it will be a huge event around 11 o'clock. We are expecting the event to start, and the Union Minister will be giving out the prizes and the medallion. We've been told that there will be a medal and a certificate along with the cash prize that will be given to these winners.
All right, Tapas, also spell out more on the awards that are to be given today. We tell our viewers that the theme of this year's International Youth Day is Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. Now, taking this forward, awards will also be given to young entrepreneurs in the agri-food business, and also organizations and individual awards will be given. Spell out more on these awards as well, on the challenge as well that was conducted to in the competition wherein people won, and the awards will be given today.
There was a lot of competition. There is no doubt about that. There was a lot of volunteers. There was a lot of individuals who made it to this, to the awards. And then what we've been told is that the youth awards, the age limit was fixed at 15 to 29. And the basis of the organization for given these for the conferred these awards was from different fields of development. For instance, social services like health, promotion of human rights, the active citizenship, community services. All those things were kept in mind. The idea is to motivate the young person to achieve excellence and in the field of national development, social services, to encourage the young people to develop a sense of responsibility to the community, and to improve their own personal potential to be a good citizen, and to recognize this outstanding work done by the voluntary organization working with the youth for the national development, including social services. So all these things came, were given a priority, and that kind of led to this awards that we are talking about for the 2 years that will be given, and almost 22 awardees for 2017-18, 2019, 2018-19 they will be provided. So it's a huge challenge to understood who can be the potential winner, and then confer them those awards. So this is a great start, and what we expect is that this innovation, this innovative idea will go a long way in finding out the gamut of the potential of the youth in reshaping or in promoting the idea of unity and social services in the country. We have already seen that Prime Minister Narendra Modi talking quite extensively about the fact that the youth are the backbone of any country, and in order to unleash the full potential of a country, what is required is to unleash the full potential of these youth, and this youth will go a long way in addressing exactly that.
Right, so Tapas, you keep your eyes on that story. We'll be back with you when it takes place, when that function takes place, and throughout the day for more. And now moving on to COVID updates. In a significant achievement, India's cumulative COVID vaccination coverage has crossed the 52 crore landmark milestone. A total of exactly 52 crores, 32 lakhs, 53,450 vaccine doses have been administered across the country so far. More than 40 lakh vaccine doses were administered in the last 24 hours. More than 19 crore 79 lakh vaccine doses were administered in the age group 18 to 44.
In a bid to give more relaxation from lockdown, Maharashtra government has allowed hotels and restaurants in the city to remain open till 10 p.m. from 15th of August. Malls across the state are also set to reopen at 50% capacity for those who are fully vaccinated. However, religious places, cinema halls, multiplexes and theatres will remain closed till further orders. Marriage halls are allowed to organize functions with 50% of its capacity. Mumbai local trains are all set to resume for fully vaccinated people from Sunday. The passes are being issued to board the local trains. Any citizen who has completed 14 days after taking 2 doses of the COVID vaccine is being verified with the final certificate of vaccination and identity card with photograph. And those who are eligible for this offline verification are being given a monthly pass by the railways on the basis of which suburban railway travel is allowed.
And the Indian Space Research Organization's mission to put the state-of-the-art Earth observation satellite GSAT-1 into a geosynchronous orbit could not be completed today. The satellite was expected to boost India's abilities by providing near real-time observation of the subcontinent under cloud-free conditions at frequent intervals. The launch was scheduled for 5:43 a.m. this morning, and the geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle F-10, GSLV F-10, was expected to place the satellite in a geosynchronous equatorial orbit after about 18 minutes. After that, ISRO was to propel the satellite to the intended geostationary orbit using onboard propulsions. GSLV F-10 lifted off successfully from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota, but the mission could not be completed due to an anomaly observed at the cryogenic stage.
The GSLV F-10 UAS-3 mission could not be fully accomplished, mainly because there is a technical anomaly observed in cryogenic stage.
Later, ISRO in a tweet said that GSLV F-10 launch took place today at 5:43 hours as per the Indian Standard Time as scheduled. Performance of first and second stages was normal. However, cryogenic upper stage ignition did not happen due to technical anomaly. The mission could not be accomplished as intended. Union Science and Technology and Earth Sciences Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh spoke to ISRO Chairman Dr. K. Sivan and discussed in detail. Dr. Singh in a tweet informed the first two stages went off fine. Only after that there was a difficulty in cryogenic upper stage ignition. He added that the mission can be rescheduled sometime again.
Moving on, the Border Roads Organization has achieved a new milestone as far as high altitude road construction is concerned. The organization has constructed the world's highest altitude motorable road of 19,300 feet in eastern Ladakh near the Umlingla Pass. It has constructed a 52-kilometer long tarmac road through Umlingla Pass, bettering the previous record of a road in Bolivia, connecting to its volcano Uturuncu at 18,953 feet, a report. This road, constructed at a height of over 19,300 feet near Umlingla Pass in eastern Ladakh, connects Chumar sector to several important towns. This road would enable to commute directly via Chishumale and Demchok to Leh.
Umlingla Pass 19,300 फीट ऊंचा है। ये इस पे हमने ब्लैक टॉप रोड बनाई है अभी 52 किलोमीटर लॉन्ग चिशुमले से देमचौक तक। तो वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड के हिसाब से अब ये सबसे ऊंचा मोटरेबल रोड है। हमने बोलिविया की जो रोड थी जो उनके वोल्केनो उटुरुंकू तक जाती थी, जिसका हाइट है 18,900 फीट, उसका रिकॉर्ड भी हमने तोड़ा है।
Construction at high altitudes is a challenging and laborious task. During the winter, the temperature dips to -40 degrees and the oxygen level at this altitude is almost 50% less than at normal places. The BRO has achieved the feat due to the grit and resilience of its personnel who work in treacherous terrain and extreme weather conditions.
Temperatures winters में -45 डिग्री तक जाता है और नॉर्मल टाइम पे सब जीरो रहता है। उसमें विंड चिल इफेक्ट भी होता है। वहां पर प्रेशर भी जो होता है, नॉर्मल प्रेशर जैसे यहाँ पर 1 बार है या 760 मिलीमीटर ऑफ मरकरी है प्लेन्स में, वहां पर 0.45 बार हो जाता है, विच इज अप्रोक्सीमेटली 45% ऑफ द प्रेशर हेयर। सो उससे हमारे बॉडी के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा एडवर्स इफेक्ट पड़ता है। तो इन सब चीजों को फेस करते हुए हमने इस रोड का निर्माण किया।
The road has been constructed at an altitude higher than Mount Everest base camps. At the South Base Camp in Nepal, which is at an altitude of 17,598 feet, while the North Base Camp in Tibet is at 16,900 feet. The road has been constructed much above the altitude of the Siachen Glacier, which is at 17,700 feet. The Khardungla Pass in Leh, it is at an altitude of 17,582 feet. Sudhir Yadav's report, DD India.
Cleanest city of the country, Indore, has now been declared as the first water plus city of the country. The results were released by central government on Wednesday. Indore is the #1 city in the country for 4 times in the cleanliness category. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Urban Development and Housing Minister Bhupendra Singh have congratulated the officers and employees of Indore Municipal Corporation as well as citizens for this achievement. The Water Plus certificate is awarded to cities that have met all the standards of ODF AA+. Also, the residual sewage from residential and commercial establishments is released into the environment only after treatment. Reuse of treated wastewater is also ensured for this award.
Time now for all the international updates, international news stories in our next segment across the globe. Taliban fighters in Afghanistan have seized key government buildings in the northeastern city of Kunduz, leaving government forces hanging on to control of just the airport and their own base. The Taliban have also taken government buildings in the northern provincial capital of Saripul, driving officials out of the main city to a nearby military base. A Taliban offensive has gathered momentum in recent days as the insurgents unleashed their forces across Afghanistan as the US announced it would end its military mission in the country by the end of August. The Islamists now control 65% of the country. They have captured districts bordering Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Iran, Pakistan and China, heightening regional security concerns. Afghanistan's defense ministry said on Wednesday that 25 Taliban insurgents were killed in airstrikes by Afghan forces in the provincial capital of Kandahar. In a statement, the ministry also said 13 militants were wounded, with 29 weapons and some ammunition from the insurgents destroyed on Tuesday. Also, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani visited Mazar-e-Sharif to review the security situation there. The north was for years Afghanistan's most peaceful region, with only a minimal Taliban presence. Not anymore, it appears. The United States, on its part, is evaluating the threat environment around its embassy in Kabul on a daily basis. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said the embassy is in regular contact with the most senior people in Washington. Till the 10th of August, 6 flights have landed in the US, with 995 special immigrants and their family members relocated.
Obviously, it is a challenging security environment, were we confident, were we comfortable having a larger staffing presence there, we would. But we are evaluating the threat environment on a daily basis. The embassy is in regular contact with Washington, with the most senior people in this building, who in turn are in regular contact with our colleagues at the NSC in the White House on this dynamic. But for right now, we have been able to continue those core activities that are important for us to conduct on the ground.
The multilateral meeting on the peace process in Afghanistan was convened on Tuesday in the Qatar capital Doha, with participating parties calling for a political settlement to achieve enduring peace in the country.
Up next, we take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. So far, over 20 crore 54 lakh people have contracted COVID-19 virus, with 18 crore 44 lakh recovering from it globally. The number of fatalities due to the pandemic worldwide has shot above 43 lakh 36,000. The US continues to remain the worst affected country with the disease, with over 3 crore 70 lakh infections, and the number of lives lost have crossed 6 lakh 35,000.
The World Health Organization has announced another phase of solidarity trials. WHO said on Wednesday that a clinical trial in 52 countries would study 3 anti-inflammatory drugs as potential treatments for COVID patients. It also said artesunate is used to treat malaria. In the trial, it will be administered intravenously for 7 days, using the standard dose recommended for the treatment of severe malaria. Imatinib, that is used to treat certain cancers, will be administered orally once daily for 14 days, while infliximab will be administered intravenously as a single dose. WHO Director Tedros Ghebreyesus said this.
We're pleased to announce the next phase in the Solidarity trial, called Solidarity Plus. Solidarity Plus will test 3 drugs: artesunate, a treatment for severe malaria; imatinib, a drug for certain cancers; and infliximab, a treatment for immune system disorders such as Crohn's disease. These drugs were chosen by an independent panel of experts that evaluates all the available evidence on all potential therapeutics. The trial involves thousands of researchers at more than 600 hospitals in 52 countries.
In Britain, no new case of a rare and severe blood clotting following AstraZeneca's COVID-19 jab has been reported. Scientists said that the country has not reported any such case in recent weeks after a decision to restrict the use of AstraZeneca's shot in under 40s. Around 85% of those who suffered rare blood clots after the vaccination with AstraZeneca's COVID-19 shot in Britain were under 60, even though more of the shots were given to the elderly, a study found in one of the fullest characterizations of the syndrome so far.
And time for some sports news now in our next segment, Sports Track. And we begin with the Tokyo Paralympics 2020. After a superb performance in the Summer Olympics, all eyes are now on the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. A send-off ceremony for the Indian contingent of the Paralympic Committee of India for Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games will take place in the national capital today. The Tokyo Paralympics comprise 593 events across 22 disciplines to be hosted across 21 venues. India will be sending its largest contingent ever with 54 para-athletes to compete in 9 sporting disciplines. 2016 Rio Paralympics gold medalist in the men's high jump, Mariyappan Thangavelu, will be India's flag bearer in the opening ceremony.
India meet England in the second test at the Lords starting this afternoon, while India were in a better position to win the first test before heavens opened up on the final day. The home side will no doubt be relieved to have escaped Nottingham without defeat after the disappointing first innings display with the bat. India still look to be the better all-round outfit, though even if there are concerns about the form of some of their batsmen.
India will be up against England in the second test match of the 5-match test series at the Lord's Cricket Ground in London. The rain-curtailed first test was entertaining but ended in a draw with day 5 getting washed out. India opted to play 4 pacers and a spin bowling all-rounder in the first test with Ravichandran Ashwin sacrificed for Ravindra Jadeja. India made a forced change with KL Rahul stepping in for the injured Mayank Agarwal. Rahul did a superb job and built a gritty 214 ball 84 in India's first innings with his technique solid for the most part. Moeen Ali returns to the Indian squad for the second test and he should make it to the playing 11 to give them an extra bowling option. Mayank Agarwal could also be fit to feature, although Rahul should keep him out of the team. Both teams will be ready to go after the stop-start action at Trent Bridge. Cricket fans saw some quality action despite the rain and they will hope for more of the same as these two sides clash at the home of cricket in the second test. Ravichandran Ashwin's exclusion before the start of the first test raised a lot of eyebrows, and rightly so, with Virat Kohli stating that the combination used in the first test could be the template. It will be interesting to see if he makes it to the playing 11 in more spin-friendly conditions at Lords. For India, KL Rahul would like to consolidate his position at the top of the order, even though Mayank Agarwal being back in the nets is a welcome sign for India. While batting order might not be tinkered with, but Agarwal's fitness could also make Rahul an option in the middle order where he personally prefers batting. While both Pujara and Rahane are not in the best form of late, they will only be replaced in the likely event of a last-minute injury. Sports Desk, DD India.
And in football, Chelsea beat Villarreal 6-5 in a penalty shootout to lift the UEFA Super Cup for a second time after a draining 120 minutes in Belfast. Substitute goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga saved captain Raul Albiol's spot kick at Windsor Park on a night that began superbly for the Blues with an excellent first half performance before the Spaniards stormed back into the contest after the break. Hakim Ziyech opened the scoring midway through the opening 45 minutes but was then forced off with what looked like a worrying shoulder injury before half-time. The Spaniards hit the woodwork either side of the break before Gerard Moreno equalized in the 73rd minute to force extra time. Chelsea failed to rediscover their first half vigor in extra time but did come close to a winner through Christian Pulisic and Mason Mount.
All right, up next we take a look at weather across the country.
The satellite picture shows the current spell of fairly widespread to widespread rainfall activity with isolated heavy to very heavy falls very likely to continue over the northeast and sub-Himalayan West Bengal and Sikkim during 12th to 14th August and reduction thereafter. Isolated extremely heavy falls also likely over Assam and Meghalaya on 12th and 13th August. Fairly widespread to widespread rainfall with isolated heavy falls very likely to continue over East Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand and Gangetic West Bengal during 12th to 14th August and isolated very heavy falls over Bihar on 12th August. Scattered to fairly widespread rainfall very likely over western Himachal region during the next 4 to 5 days. Isolated heavy rainfall over Uttarakhand from 12th to 15th August and over Himachal during 12th to 14th August. Subdued rainfall very likely over rest parts of plains of northwest India, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, adjoining central India and most parts of peninsular India outside Tamil Nadu and Kerala, including Maharashtra and Gujarat till 15th August with increase in rainfall activity over peninsular India from 16th August onwards. Scattered to widespread rain very likely over Tamil Nadu and Kerala in the next 4 to 5 days with isolated heavy falls over Tamil Nadu during 12th to 14th August and over Kerala on 12th August.
These are the main observations for weather. Next we take a look at temperatures across major cities of the country. That's it in this edition of Breakfast News this morning. Tomorrow we'll be back again, but before we go, we leave you with this reminder every day to make sure that you continue following the COVID appropriate behavior. The fight against the pandemic is still not over and we should not still let our guards down. Remember, wear a mask, wear it correctly and properly. Keep following COVID appropriate behavior, and also those eligible, go and get yourself vaccinated. This will further strengthen the fight against the pandemic.
And as always, as we go, we leave you with images that will make your day all that much better, we hope. Today, as it's World Elephant Day, we bring you these splendid visuals from Africa. The elephant is observed to, these images are to increase awareness on conservation and protection of Asian and African elephants. That's all in this edition of Breakfast News. So we hope you enjoyed our show. And take a look at these pachyderms celebrating their day in their own way. Namaskar.